it just happens so often now, like, maybe I am stupid. Why am I even here? If I can't, like, do what the teachers need me to do to even, like, pass, what's the point? I mean, like, I don't know.
So, to start, are you doing something crucial on your phone at the moment?
I mean,
You're free, so we can fully thank you. Let's break both of them up into two things. So let's start with talking about your boss. Let's start talking about work if we can. Is that okay?
yeah.
So we can break those pieces up. Because I know there's a lot, and there's a lot that goes with both of the things, a lot of things you talked about. So have you spoken with your boss at all?
Yeah, I try to ask him for feedback just so I can understand, like, where I'm at with him, but he doesn't like giving feedback and doesn't know how, and so he doesn't.
Can you give an example of a piece of feedback he has given you?
So the last time he gave me feedback was August, and it was, you did a good job, but you probably didn't need to do that much effort. And so, like, why would I keep trying hard if when I do my best, it's not what he wants?
Mm-hmm. Have you expressed to him the kind of feedback that you'd like to be given?
We
Yeah.
go over that in our expectations every 2 or 3 months, and he still doesn't get it.
And you have verbally you tell him?
And so I tell him, and then he writes it down and sends it back in an email to me, so he knows.
Does your department at all do any type of assessment of your learning, or, you know, you as a student, like as a student worker, student employee, any of that? Do you know his supervisor at all?
I mean, kind of. I don't want to, like, jump over his head, though.
Well, no, I'm just curious if maybe that person has reached out to you all as students to see, you know, as employees, what you've been learning, or sort of if the department is meeting learning outcomes, those types of things. Because if, you know, you feel that you're not getting adequate feedback and you're not receiving things that validates you as a worker, gives you things to work on, then that's not meeting, you know, probably their goals in that department, right?
Right.
So I'm just thinking from the standpoint of maybe you have a discussion with him about, one more time, about, you know, needing, you know, feedback. So for you, what would be feedback you would want to hear from him?
Hey, you did a good job on this. I really liked this part of it. Or if it was, like, I guess, critical feedback, you know, this was good, you were on the right track, or even if I wasn't, this isn't on the right track, and, like, this is how you can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
It's never, like, I don't get any of that.
Would you feel comfortable, if you had this conversation with him, being able to express to him that I would like feedback, and this is sort of some of the feedback that I would like to hear, even if it's critical, you know, I would like it to have, you know, something where it gives me something to work on personally. It gives me a positive thing to look at, to push forward. Would you be comfortable sharing that with him?
I mean, yeah, I just don't think he'll do it. And I don't want to put myself in an environment where I'm going to perpetually have to make up my own feedback and just always feel not good enough.
Well, I think that if you express that to him one more time, and I think going forward, maybe it's a point to where you have a discussion with his supervisor, maybe speak to some of your peers to see what feedback they're getting, because do some of your peers work in the same department? Do they have different supervisors?
Some of them do, some of them
Okay.
have the same.
Maybe have you talked to your peers who have the same supervisor, if they've gotten any feedback?
They don't get feedback.
They don't either. Have you talked to any of your peers who don't have the same supervisor?
Sometimes.
Then have you talked about feedback at all with them, or?
No, it doesn't seem to be like a big topic of discussion though.
Well, what I'm thinking is that maybe it might be a good conversation to have, if you have one with him and then nothing comes of that again, to speak with his supervisor. And I don't think at that point it's not going over his head, because you've asked him a few times to provide you with feedback that is supportive and helps you to learn and to grow. And if he's not providing that, then you need to sort of see where if that fits in with the department, or if the department doesn't value supervisors giving their students or giving their employees feedback, then, you know, that may be a bigger issue to move forward. But then that way, maybe it could sort of, you know, light a fire under him to give some good feedback. Because it may be there, it may just not be a priority for him. He may be someone that doesn't, you know, is not into, because with feedback comes feelings, right? So maybe he's someone that doesn't dive too much into that part of himself, and so it's hard to give feedback, as you know. And I know that you give your students feedback, and so I think that's why you value it so much. And I appreciate that about you, is that you care of wanting to grow and to learn, and you do that for your students. So not getting that yourself is hard. So this way, maybe if you speak to a supervisor, they can give him some push, and at least his supervisor knows that there's an issue with that piece, and it's the way you approach it. So would you be comfortable maybe doing that, possibly doing that